Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2019 season. We're in Monza for the 11th round of this season. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me as usual, it's Chris Buxton.
How quickly this season has flown by. We return to the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. I can't find anybody that dislikes this track. I love it from a driving and spectator's point of view. It is just amazing, and I cannot wait to see what our amazing VGP drivers can give us. This is how the VGP1 standings are at the moment. Michael Schmidl, of course, maintaining his grip at the top, but not insurmountable. Stefanko chasing him hard, and Polesny rounding out the top three, with Blazek, Klebitz and Sikora in hot pursuit as well. At VGP2s, again it's Kovacic that maintains a similar gap up top as Schmidl does in the VGP1s, but the rest of the field a little bit closer together. Rigel is doing his best to hang on to Kovacic, and Bachada and Kujela in very hot pursuit as well. Our teams, Acer holding a pretty commanding lead at the top of the team's table, but Logitech and Benzina still locked in their battle as they have been pretty much all season. Predator not too far off their heels either, and Smarty and RPS doing what they can to hang on to that. 9 teams over 100 points.
Let's take a look at some statistics here, comparing the GT3 cars to the DTM cars, specifically for Michael Blazek. You can see 1 podium in the GT3 cars, a much more impressive 5 top 5s in the DTM. I apologize, 1 podium in the DTM, 2 in the GT3. 48% percentage of possible points in the DTM car. So fewer podiums, but more top 5s, a little bit better consistency. He's been on the podium twice as well, has Michael Blazek in the Formula Hybrid cars as well. Looking at Jan Sikora, hasn't been on the podium in the GT3 or DTM cars, did score 4 top 5s with the GT3s, has not, or did not rather, get on into the top 5 in the DTM car. So clearly he seems to prefer the GT3 car with all the modern day assistances and all that kind of stuff, but you can see still doing fairly well in this 2019 season, despite how difficult it has been, how competitive it is out there. Looking at Pavel Rigel in the Acer car, that lovely Acer car, picking up 2 podiums in the DTM car, 3 top 5s, and 69% of possible points in only his first season as an actual driver. He was just a reserve driver in 2018, so not a bad way to kick things off for Pavel Rigel.
So then Monza, 11 turns, 5.8 kilometers, and a 1:21.0 as the lap record by Rubens Barrichello in 2004. And just goes to show how the cars have changed. The track has changed little, if any at all, in that time. Lovely warm Italian temperatures. Michael Schmidl getting driver of the day for VGP1. And there's that lovely Acer skin once again from Pavel Rigel, getting the VGP2 honours.
Simon Kovacic taking pole position in the VGP2 class ahead of Michael Schmidl.
Wow!
Now, yeah, we go into this blind. We had no idea that was coming, so pardon us as we become shocked about that one. Not only is Michael Schmidl not on pole position, but there's a VGP2 driver ahead of him. Absolutely incredible stuff. Martin Stefanko, this is a big talking point, starting way down in 15th position. Not a great start. Now, we did get information hearing that a number of the drivers were sick for this race, and one of those drivers is Martin Stefanko, in a big way, no less. We hear he is quite ill for the race today. But we head down to the grid now, and it is the Logitech car of Simon Kovacic, who starts from pole position. He's got the champion Michael Schmidl alongside him, the current championship leader as well, no less, for VGP1, and the lights are out and they're away. It looks like a decent amount of wheel spin, and Schmidl actually already pressuring, although it looks like Klebitz, with a fantastic start, is going to be the one that's piling the pressure onto Schmidl, but he can't be late enough onto the brakes, and there goes Schmidl up the inside into turn 1, takes the lead of the race. Here comes the Acer car of Polesny. He overtakes Klebitz as well, too, and here comes the other Acer car as well. Both the Acer cars managing to make their way through, and I have to say, Chris, this is a real shocking part here. Looks like everyone got through turn 1 cleanly.
It does look like it. There was a bit of wheel banging, a little bit of pushing going on. The Acer side by side. And, oh, yeah, there we go. Commentator goes, Kazanik rather, looking the wrong way at the Dalrosia chicane. That is never good. There is Blasek. I think he had a bit of a moment. Corny in the sport car now in 14th position. But yeah, amazingly, no kind of... Oh, yeah, that looked like another issue that was about to happen at the second left mode. Corny just about keeping that one on the road. But amazing stuff so far. Always that scary moment into the rest of the video for the first time. You go from a very high speed into a crawl with the entire field around you. But a great start then from our champion and championship leader of Michael Schmidl. There we go, another side-by-side. That's one of the RPS cars. That's Challenger. Well, there's lots of challenging going on, lots of side-by-sides coming on at the moment. So we'll see how that all pans out. Looks like everyone has survived so far. So we'll see how well the rest of the field goes. Again, lots of slipstreaming. Slipstreaming really, really powerful. Again, side-by-side coming into the Dalrosia. Those Acer cars are having a lot of fighting going on. Pavel Reigl in particular. He's really fending off. Well, it must feel like he's fending off the entire grid. That's Blasek on the outside of Evergrande. Whoa, now someone's brave to attempt to move there.
That is some seriously scary stuff for Michael Blasek. Up the inside or around the outside. I mean, it's a chicane, so it's got inside and outside at different parts. Michael Schmidl, meanwhile, extending his advantage up at the front. Kovacic, it looks like, just about keeping within touching distance of him after the first lap here onto the second lap. Oh, that looks wide there for Pachada, but he's going to just about stay within the slipstream of Lishka up ahead. He's going to be coming under attack from the Spurt car behind, though. That is Corny for in 13th position. He's going to be trying to move himself up into 12th here, and it looks like he's just about done that. Actually, yeah, he has. He has managed to make that overtake, so it's looking good for him. This is the other Pachada brother who's going to be looking up the inside into Parabolica, and it's actually difficult to decide what to commentate on, especially on those long shots where the camera's at Parabolica and it's looking down towards Ascaria. There's 100 battles going on, but this is the battle we want to focus on at the moment for the final podium position. It looks like Klebitz with the inside line into that first chicane is going to manage to make the overtake on Polesny. Moves himself ahead of the Acer car up into third position. It's been a rough couple of races for Klebitz, and I imagine he's going to be looking for a solid result here today. Kazanik was that Logitech driver that dropped way down to the back at the start of the race, facing the wrong direction, moves himself up a position much later on the brakes, actually heading into that first chicane, and takes that position rather easily. It appears he doesn't have any significant damage anyway. Meanwhile, Stefanko has made up one position, but that was probably off of the spinning Kazanik. Oh yeah, that's a big moment in the background there. I'm actually not sure who that was. Was it Vanashek? Or it might have been Kostulik. I'm not sure actually on that one, but that was a pretty violent spin at the second chicane there.
Yeah, that's not the ideal way of taking the Dalrosia. I think he had some assistance there. But look at the times in between each car. You were talking about quite rightly. It's difficult to know where to look and what to commentate on. From 6th down to 14th, 15th. It's 1.1 seconds or less in between each car. Well, there we go. That's the entire pack I've just been talking about. Absolutely fantastic battling from the, essentially the midfield collection. I think it was Kostovic that had that massive moment at the Dalrosia, where again looking at Blasek as he stares at the back of the second place Pavel Reigl, second place in class to say Pavel Reigl. Again, Lishka and Corny having a fight into the rest video. And that is the position to the sport car. Nicely done, a fairly straightforward maneuver. You've got to acknowledge when the move is done. If yeah, if Pajada tried to defend... Oh, that's a very slow Prohaska. He's had a problem at Parabolica, it would seem. Very easily done. You go a little bit too wide. Or if you actually catch the apex is actually very heavily risen. If you try and cut it too much, it will just spit the car out. So problems up and down the field for several drivers, but so much battling going on, as is rather evident by, every time we start talking about someone, the camera cuts to somebody else quite correctly, because there's so much fighting going on. Yeah, it's a great problem to have.
It is absolutely relentless out there, and the high speeds, of course, mean that a tiny mistake will lose you lots of positions and possibly send you off into a barrier somewhere or into the grass or gravel or something like that. But here we go with the Benzina car going defensive down towards the Parabolica, but it looks like the Thrustmaster car of Lucas Pachada is going to manage to make that overtake before the braking zone, actually, of that corner. And it does look like, by the way, just a quick touch on this, the vast majority of drivers opting for the Super Softs for the start of this race, the likes of Lucas Pachada, Martin Stefanko, those guys, Kostulik, Thomas Prohaska going for the soft compound tires. Speaking of Martin Stefanko in 14th position, he's looking to move himself up into 13th position now. Oh, that's a scary moment into the first chicane as he closes up to the back of that Thrustmaster rather quickly, but he does move himself ahead of his teammate of Lishka, moves himself up into 13th position, but he's got several VGP2 cars still ahead of him on board. With Kujela here, he's going to have the inside line into the second chicane. Can he be late enough onto the brakes? It looks like that was Kostulik who's gone into the pits. Yes, it is, and the other Forza car. So while Kujela makes the move into, and Kostulik has actually retired from the race. So I do believe you were right about that, Chris. I think he was the one that we saw spinning off into the barrier at the Della Roggia chicane, and I think that's going to be his race done as he has retired. But the other Forza car of Kujela getting a move on, making the overtake on Lishka and moving himself up into what is a net 6th position for VGP2, so not a bad start for Kujela.
Not at all. Now, Monza is one of these kind of punch and counter-punch, very strategic kind of attacking that needs to go on. Rabbit's a little wide coming into the Parabolica. That's lost him that crucial momentum against Blasek. Now, Blasek has been closing in on Pavel Rigel. They're not in the same class, but he will still want to clear the car. But look how quickly Frabic is closing, and Blasek knows it. He's defending the inside line. That is a class battle. Oh my goodness me, Frabic almost got boxed in there. He was very lucky that Blasek either was more cautious on the brakes or backed out of that, as that could have been a horrible incident. Right with him as well, Jan Sikora. That's, what is that, 4th, 5th and 6th in class. Oh, that's Nakey taking an unusual line through Edafilio, and that is very close between Frabic and Blasek. They are continuing their fight. Blasek not willing to just sit behind and wait for an opportunity. He's taken them when they come. We've seen several side-by-sides into the Del Russia already. Wonder if that was a bit wide for Frabic, and here comes Sikora now. This is what I'm referring to, kind of punch and counter-punch. When an overtake happens, you're then that you're the person that's just been overtaken is then very close to make the counter attack. Although Frabic did a brilliant job then of fending off Jan Sikora coming into Ascari. So it becomes, when do you make the move? Very much Kemmel Straight kind of situation where, I could make my move into La Source, but I'm going to be vulnerable on the Kemmel Straight. Where we are right now on board with Jan Sikora is exactly the same. Do I make my move before Parabolica and then become very vulnerable down this very long straight, or do I try and make the move into Rettifilio? Rettifilio being obviously an exceedingly slow corner, slow chicane rather, is a very risky place to make the move, but it helped prevent the counterattack. Here comes Hernecki on Vanashek. That is the move that people try and defend against, i.e. don't try and make the move before Parabolica, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Very nicely done, a little bit of a bounce over the apex, and that's Hernecki gained a position right back with Frabic and Sikora once again. And because they're fighting, that's allowed Blasek to close back in on Pavel Rigel for him to continue his battle for 5th.
Yeah, Blasek, of course, going to be wanting to grab another podium. He's had a great run so far in the Formula Hybrid Mercedes-Benz car, and he's going to be looking to continue that here at Monza. And as you mentioned, Chris, it's pretty relentless as far as the overtaking locations at this circuit. You don't have that tight and twisty sector. Oh, that was a scary moment, but it looked like it was actually just lag. This is, of course, the last of the online races, actually. The next race will be at the RPS studio, at the replay studio. And then of course we'll be at the 4 Games event.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's a good amount of understeer for the Avast car. Is he going to be pulling off into the pits? He's just defending to the right hand side. Wants that inside line as they make the run down towards the first chicane, and it looks like Sikora is going to be alongside, but no, maybe he's got higher downforce. He can't quite get ahead. He is a bit later onto the brakes, but he does run into the runoff area, so he's probably going to lose a pretty significant amount of time. He's definitely going to have to give that position back, and there goes the fast car through, and he will be able to continue to pile that pressure onto that car. So he'll be, as he swerves over to the left-hand side of the circuit, thinking about possibly making a dive into the second chicane, not thinking better of it in the end. Probably a good choice there for Sikora, but maintains the position for behind. But yeah, this is the part of the circuit here, actually, through the 2 Lesmos, and then into Ascari, where really it's not an overtaking location, because of course Parabolica, you can overtake there. First chicane, second chicane, absolutely. The Lesmos and to a lesser extent Ascari are not quite as much overtaking locations compared to the rest of the circuit, so that's really your only opportunity to try and build a gap to the car behind and try to prevent from being re-overtaken. Now, of course, what this also means is that 2 drivers could, in theory, work in tandem with one another to try and catch up to somebody else by just constantly slipstreaming each other over and over again and just gaining that extra top speed. As we can see in the background there, it looks like a bit of a battle starting to develop as well. Yeah, you can see there's a couple of battles as they head down the start finish. Several battles, in fact, as they head down the start finish straight, but into the braking zone for the first chicane. Frabish hangs on to that position, but for how much longer?
That's the golden question, isn't it? Is how long can they continue this pace for? Also, I'm looking at, funny enough, the camera cuts to Michael Smidl. I think Kovacic he's certainly keeping pace. Actually, Smidl might be losing time. Indeed, he did. Look at the last laps. Kovacic was 3/10 quicker than Smidl. There are not many occasions anybody is 3/10 quicker than Michael Smidl, and he was a 10th quicker in qualifying as well. So Kovacic, keep an eye on this, on the VGP2 driver here. Now, that's not for championship position. This is purely for bragging rights, as the distance between Kovacic and Rigel is about 13-14 seconds or so. No such gap for Jan Sikora and Jan Frabish, however, as they are continuing their scrap for what is 5th position in the VTB1s, and Sikora, yeah, he's kind of undenied about it. Oh no! Frabish has been struggling there all race long.
He has.
And that has really caught out Sikora. That was a lot of kind of indecision there, and I think Sikora, he committed too late for that, and Frabish then has been the unfortunate victim of that one, as the 2 RPS cars are now side by side. Yep, Prohaska then comes through. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of. Oh dear, that's a big punt there from. I had a feeling that might be the case. So a drive-through penalty for Jan Sikora for causing that collision. I did think that would happen. Unfortunately, is a little bit. Wasn't entirely his fault. There was kind of lots of indecision there, but. He was the one that was the striking car, you could say. So a penalty to serve for him. A bit unfortunate. There's the rather ill Martin Stefanko up to 12th position. I think he's probably turning the wheels, doing the laps, and wanting the timer to run out more than anything else, if he's as ill as we've been advised. Although he is having a look at Lucas Pichada. Oh, brave man if you're going to try it there. It can be done. You can make a move into Ascari, but as you were saying earlier, Justin, it's not a common overtaking point. It's not a very heavy braking zone into there, and it's very fast on the way out. You're leaving yourself very open to counterattack, because if you've made a move into there, odds are one of you is have had your line really, really compromised. So it's not ideal, as he's not hanging around to serve his penalty secret. But look how close so many cars are. He's going to be so far down the field by the time he comes out.
Yeah, that's actually a battle for 4th position between Pichada and Stefanko now that Sikora is serving that penalty. So, I mean, some pretty, 5th position, I apologize. So still some pretty serious points on offer for those guys. So Stefanko is definitely going to be looking to make the move on Pichada, as Frabish is down into 21st position. And it looks like he's just made the overtake on Thomas Prohaska in the sprint car. Not a great day out there for either of these VGP1 drivers. Frabish on the medium compound tires now. Should be able to do quite a high number of laps on those. He's the first one that we're seeing that's not on the soft or the super soft compounds. So he's going to have pretty healthy tires out there, but they're not exactly the stickiest, softest compound to be dealing with. So turning our attention towards the battle for second position, quote unquote. This is actually between Kovacic, the current leading VGP2 driver, and Andrej Hlebec, who is currently sitting in second in the VGP1 category. Now, if he can use this Logitech car ahead of him to his advantage, that could actually bring him closer to Schmidl, and I think there's nothing more than Chris and I would like to see than to have Hlebec challenging Schmidl for the victory of this race. We turn our attention, though, once again to Stefanko, and again, this is for 5th position in the VGP1 category, which Stefanko would be really happy about, considering he started from 15th position out of 22 on this grid. So if he can get up the inside into the first chicane, he's not quite late enough on the brakes. The Thrustmaster car stays alongside him, but he kind of muscles his way through. No contact made. Good respectful driving from both of those guys, but Stefanko is through up into 10th position overall, 5th position in the VGP1 category, and I'm sure that's one small thing that he can be happy about. At the very least, Chris, maybe he'll be spurred on to go quicker and quicker just to get the race over with even faster. Now, unfortunately for him, it's not a set number of laps. It is actually a timed thing, but you still finish the race quicker if you're further up the road. Obviously, he could save himself maybe 10 seconds and then get back to his bed or wherever he's spending that time with the flu. Oh, that's a bit wide for Kujela, but he does manage to keep it on the track. On board with Korony, who's currently sitting in 4th position in the VGP2 category. He's got Yaroslav Prohaska in the RPS car not that far ahead of him, so that is for 3rd position in the VGP2 category. And Michael Schmidl is into the pits with 25.5 minutes remaining.
Yep, he's coming. He's aiming for about halfway. Well, slightly less than halfway. Those super softs. He's had enough of those. Kovacic then in the lead. This race being led by a VGP2 driver, and I mean no disrespect by that, because I think Kovacic has rather proven he's very, very quick. It's just exceedingly rare to see a VGP2 driver right up there at the top of the field. But again, Schmidl is... Actually, I thought Schmidl would have a bigger problem than that. He's come out in 4th. And every time he's done his pit stop, he always seems to time it so that everybody gets out of his way when he gets to them. He's always been very, very lucky in that. But Hlebec now leads the VGP1 class. The irony is he's not leading the race, but he's leading the class then. And he's hoping to continue that pace that he's been showing. Again, looking at his last lap, 21.5. He did it 21.2 not that long ago. So Hlebec has been absolutely flying. Let's hope that we haven't just commentated... Well, I have just commentated cursed him. Oh, wow, he's close. He is using every available bit of slipstream. That's probably put him off a little bit as they've come into Parabolica. Are they coming in? Yep, they do. Now, that's going to be very interesting. There was only about 1.5 seconds between Kovacic and Schmidl before that happened. And then, no more than half a second from Schmidl to Hlebec either. Let's see where they filter back out again.
I mean, it is possible, of course, to do an overcut, potentially, but at a circuit like this, I'm not entirely sure. As both cars get going, Hlebec and Kovacic are moving in the pit lane, but of course, Schmidl is going to come by, at well over 330 kph, actually, as they're just coming out now. So, actually, I don't think really anybody gained or lost any time in this three-way battle. For the overall lead of this race, not even necessarily for the specific categories, but your top three of Schmidl, Kovacic, and Hlebec are still relatively in the same sort of spot. Maybe Schmidl gained a second or so as a result of that undercut just by pitting that one lap earlier, as Korony is making his way out of the pits now, and it looks like he's just about going to manage to stay. Oh yeah, he's clunking all over the curbs, and unfortunately the least amount of grip that you can have in a race is when you're all four wheels in the air, and that has not worked out for Korony. He's going to be side by side with the Thrustmaster car. It looks like around the outside he is going to get him, actually. David Pachada with the inside line into the second chicane, a bit later on the brakes as well too, and he does. He stays ahead of Korony. Impressive stuff there from the Thrustmaster driver to stay ahead, and he will stay ahead on the run into the first Lesmo as well. So Looking pretty good, actually, for both of the Thrustmaster guys. They're both in the top 12 right now, with Lucas Pichata currently sitting in 9th position. We haven't seen a whole raft of drivers coming into the pits. Of course, the likes of Stefanko starting on the soft compound tire, so he's going to be going a little bit deeper into this race and then fitting a set of super softs at the end. But he is essentially a pit stop behind Klebets and Schmidl and all of those guys, as he has yet to pit, but he has about a 2 or 3 second gap behind the smarty car of Andre Klebets at the moment, as Hurtnecki is into the pits, and that is actually from 4th position in the VGP2 category currently. Sikora in the RPS car coming under attack from Lishka in the Benzina car. And yeah, there's that understeer that you get from the dirty air effect through Parabolica. Of course, one of the higher speed corners. I mean, Curva Grande is the highest speed corner on the track, let's be honest, but you don't get much of a dirty air effect there.
No, not generally, as Kazanik in the Logitech car trying to come past Prohaska in the sport car. A bit of a lock up there from someone just ahead of them. Fairly simple maneuver. On they go. Yeah, I feel very sorry for when you make a mistake there, particularly the Retifilio, because it's so slow. It's so clumsy because the car just doesn't do anything. It's almost a dead weight because the aerodynamics aren't doing anything. The tires aren't doing a great deal at that particular pace. And it just feels horrid because it feels like an age before you come back onto circuit. As Pavel Raga brings his car back into the pits, and then the top 3 resume where they were. So it's very easy to do because, again, as we mentioned, that very long straight, you are storming towards that Retifilio chicane at a scarily high amount of knots and coming in, braking really, really hard. It's very easy to overshoot it, and it becomes embarrassment on huge amount of time lost for anyone having to recover from there. As we look at David Pichata on Carney for that will be 4. I've lost them. 11th overall, as Stefanko has come out of the pits. Then he's now on the super soft tires. He's come out in 9th, so he's still he's still looking at 10th rather. He's still looking for a decent result there. But Schmidl doing Michael Schmidl things once again, and has started to open up a fresh lead-up time. Was down to about 1.5 seconds before the pit stop phase, and is now 4 seconds and a new fastest lap for the Predator car.
Yeah, it took a little bit, but he is into his groove now, finally, and starting to build a bit of a gap. Kovacic with the 21.2 last lap, a 21.3 from Andre Klebets. He is going to be hoping to use the benefit of that slipstream down the start-finish straight to try and close up to the back of the Logitech car. Again, this is not for position. He won't gain any points by overtaking Kovacic, but of course, if he feels that Kovacic is slowing him down, he is going to want to make that overtake on the Logitech car as quickly as he can to try and close that gap down to Michael Schmidl. It's a bit of a pipe dream trying to close down Michael Schmidl halfway through a race after he's already built a few seconds of gap. Oh, here we go between Kujela and Blazek. Blazek up the inside in the Legion car into the first chicane. And again, that's another one that's not actually for position. Kujela currently sitting in 2nd position for the VGP2 category. Here goes Stefanko now up the inside on Yaroslav Prohaska into the first chicane. It looks rather textbook for him, actually. Very late on the brakes, using those super soft tires to his advantage, and moves himself up into 9th position overall. I do believe that Lucas Pichata is still yet to pit, so I still think that Martin Stefanko is in 5th overall, and again he is on super soft tires, but he's got a pretty decent sized gap to Blazek in the Legion car up the road. So I'm not sure if Stefanko is really thinking about getting that 4th place position in the VGP1 category. In fact, he may not be really thinking about the race at all. He may just be thinking about how to clear his sinuses, given the condition that he's in for today's race. So, he might be rather distracted and that sort of stuff. I have done a sim race while under the influence of influenza or some other type of thing like that, and it's not fun. And here we go with Klebets. And clearly he is feeling that he is the faster car compared to that Logitech of Kovacic. He's up the inside into the first chicane. Seen a few moves like that recently, and he becomes yet another to make the move into that first chicane. Just over 18 minutes plus 1 lap still to go. Klebets now 2nd overall, 2nd in the VGP1 category, and with less than 5 seconds to Michael Schmidl, I imagine he's going to be thinking this is not over just yet, Chris.
No, and in doing that slipstream maneuver, Klebets gained 4/10 of a second on the race leader. It looked like he was either weaving or maybe had a slight moment heading up to the Del Rogers chicane there. It's a bit strange, but we'll see what happens. That's not Smiddle ahead of him, is it? No, it can't be.
No.
No, Smiddle is not that one. There we go. I was just thinking, my God, he's gaining on him quick. No, that is Jelinek, the other Predator guy, I believe. So through then Hlebets goes. I think Hlebets is a little bit overdue for some good fortune. He's had some amazing results. He's fought with Smiddle before, and unfortunately has lost out. So he's overdue a decent result. I don't think he'll mind me saying that. Hopefully I haven't just cursed him out of it. Well, we will see what happens in the next 17 minutes plus 1 lap as the Prachada brother chases off after Corny once again. We come up to Ascari, and again the Thrustmaster car just not able to draw alongside the sport car at all at this stage. With the maintenance of pressure and dealing with that pressure is also a very big part of these of the race that is going on, as Kushela and Lucas Prachada have brought their cars in, so and it's going to help those immediately behind them. There's Kazanik and Bushek having their battle. That's Rigel and that's Pavel Rigel that is with he's lapping the Benzina car of, that'll be Lishka, that he's just coming past. This will be the Forza car of Kujela just coming out. And he remains in third, does he? No, the positions are going to shuffle around, so that's going to put him right in a big pack of cars. That's not what he's going to... Oh, and contact! That was a little bit unfortunate, but... And, well, yep, thank you very much, I'll have that.
Yeah, why not?
It's Kujela then. Oh, that was... we'll see what the stewards have to say about that one, but that was a very unfortunate set of circumstances. There's Jan Frabish. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's Traction not wanting to play ball. Remember, he had to take that very early pit stop in the Avascar. He's on the medium tyres, and it's not going well for him. We're seeing people on the ultra soft tyre. Interesting choice.
Oh, well spotted, yeah. So yeah, Frabish is still out there on the mediums. Kazanik has gone for the ultra softs. Kujela, and there is the drive-through penalty for Kujela for causing that collision at the turn 1 chicane, the first chicane on the circuit, as he was coming out of the pits. So yeah, that was a bit of a clumsy one, wasn't it? Not the most graceful of incidents that we've ever seen. But you know, there was at least one Thrustmaster car that was very happy to see that going on. Actually, getting nicely out of the way for him. But yeah, again, we're looking at Blazek, who is now looking at yet another podium. Actually, wasn't necessarily looking that way as we were coming straight into the race, as Kujela is coming in to serve that penalty now. So, but Blazek is looking like he's on for another podium here. Polesny having a bit of a quiet race, I have to say. We haven't really seen too much of Wojtek Polesny in the Acer car for the VGP1 team so far in this race, but there is Andrei Hlebets, and that is what the gap looks like. He hasn't built an enormous gap to Kovacic behind. I would say he's not exactly in any danger of coming under attack. He's not really having to look in his mirrors, go defensive, anything like that. But he hasn't built an absolutely enormous gap. So again, Kovacic really proving himself. And if anything, actually, I gotta say, yeah, Hlebets puts in a 120.7, and look at that, the gap's now down to less than 3 seconds. It's bouncing around a little bit, as it does, of course, throughout the course of the lap, as the cars and, you know, depending on the setup and the driver and all that kind of stuff, the gap will change. But overall, it seems to me that gap is coming down. Now, whether or not that gap is coming down to enough to the point where Hlebets can actually mount an attack on our current championship leader of Michael Schmidl, that is still yet to be determined. But with that fastest lap, with a 121.2 last lap for Michael Schmidl, that's half a second quicker was Andrei Hlebets. So I don't know if I'm not sure if he knows that he's catching Schmidl at that kind of pace, but if he can maintain that half a second a lap, then I mean, actually, he'll be closing up to the back of that Predator car pretty quickly.
He's got the time to do it at that kind of pace difference, is whether he can maintain that pace difference as long as his usual kind of inconsistent bad luck doesn't strike. That's something he will need to bear in mind. We will see. I could easily imagine Smiddle is just going to toy with him a little bit. So I'll drive at 99.6% for a few laps, and then I'll put it back up to 105. So yeah, I could easily imagine Smiddle doing that. We'll see. Hlebets again. Now, the point I was going to say was, when was the last time you remember someone other than Smiddle having the fastest lap?
Been a while.
After about 2-3. I've got a funny feeling it was Hlebets.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, actually.
Yeah, I think the only other man that's actually put a lap quicker.
4/10 last lap.
But yeah, there's another almost half second gone. And let's face it, 21 flat is not exactly slow. But Klebitz then, he's got no slipstream either. He's way too far back to be getting any kind of drafting effect from Smiddle as well. This is just pure pace. You know, is Klebitz kind of seeing red and just chasing, as you put it, the carrot on the stick effect going on? We'll see if Klebitz is able to maintain it, but will Smiddle have some fighting to do? It was between these two in the DTMs, if you recall, that had that incredible battle. More than one, in fairness. They've had several battles, but I remember the DTMs in particular when Klebitz and Smiddle crossed swords. I wonder if that would play on Klebitz's mind as well. Last time this happened, it didn't go well, but still a bit of a gap between the two.
Yep, but Klebitz is closing in, and actually they're coming to the end of their lap now. And in fact, it was a 121.1 for Smiddle, so a tenth slower, but significantly slower for Klebitz. Only a 120.9 that time, so only 0.25 of a second quicker than the Predator car. But he does continue to take pretty decent-sized chunks out of that gap ahead of him. And Klebitz, if nothing else, is showing everybody that he is the faster car right now. You know, maybe he didn't get the start that he wanted. Maybe he got stuck behind Kovacic, and maybe that's what really robbed us of a race-long battle between these two titans of the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP. But Klebitz is closing in. And I imagine Smiddle is seeing that Smarty car getting bigger and bigger in his rearview mirror. Oh, that's a big moment for Jan Frabisch coming out of Parabolica, or going through Parabolica. That's going to put Lucas Pachado alongside him as they cross the start-finish line, actually. And I have a feeling the Thrustmaster car is going to be rather ahead as they get into the braking zone for the first chicane. But actually, it seems like the Avast car with the better straight-line speed and the inside line into that first chicane is going to maintain that position, but only just very, very close between the two of them, and that is, of course, for position. Frabisch on the harder compound tires, with Pachada being on those super soft compound tires, so he is going to be feeling certainly that he is the much quicker car at this stage of the race, given the and look at that, a 120.6 from Andre Klebitz. He is absolutely flying right now. I would love to see the lap time, the previous lap time from Michael Schmidl at the moment, but there it is. Oh my God, that is 8.5 tenths of a second last lap, Chris. This is not over at all.
They've got about, hazard a guess, I've got about 7 laps, including the +1, for this to be resolved. 2.5 seconds, give or take, between the two. I know there's lots of other fighting going on, like that one. Yeah, there's lots of other drivers on track, but you know, this is going to be curious to see whether Smiddle's going to have to fend him off. Oh, Pachada again, very, very close to Frabisch, as the Avast car has really struggled with traction out of corners all race long. Stefenko now on the back of Rigel for 6th position. As Jelinek brings his car into the pits again. There goes Pachada again to try and make the move. Exactly the same as last lap. Does it go the same way as it did? Yep, it does. Well
rather
defended
familiar.
Again. Yeah. And Stefenko's already gotten past Pavel Rigel. The Acer car may have chosen not to fight that one. Stefenko's on the softer rubber as well, so... Oh, that's not good! Oh dear, that's Bushek and the other Smarty car being pushed round. That was Hertnecki in the Avast car. I suspect that might be another penalty coming our way, as that was even more clumsy, unfortunately. Bit of a shame for Hertnecki, but on they go nonetheless. We'll see. Again, I suspect the stewards may well be looking at that. And the gap up top is getting very dangerously close to be sub 2 seconds now. And Smiddle is going to get to a point where he can't ignore that anymore.
No, he really, really can't, because that Smarty car is getting closer and closer as this race progresses, and with that, and Hertnecki must give the position back. So that's not such a bad penalty. He's going to have to slow down and just allow Bushek back through. It's going to lose him a couple of seconds, but that's not nearly as bad as a drive-through penalty or anything like that. Having a look at Pachada in the Thrustmaster car, in the VGP2 Thrustmaster car. He's not that far off the back of Corny, and here we go once again.
There's the other one.
Thrustmaster car around the outside on the Avast car and yep, it looks like a carbon copy. Once again, Jan Frabisch is just knowing exactly where to position that Avaskar into turn 1, and that position is inside of turn 1, but actually Pichada is going to try and have a go through Curva Grande. He looks to the inside, he looks to the outside, he gets the outside line. That's going to give him the inside line into the second chicane. Can he be late enough on the brakes to take that position off of the Avaskar? Not quite. They're still side by side. He's going to be out wide. A bit of ooh, the back end just stepping out ever so slightly. They make a bit of contact, and the Avaskar does manage to stay ahead once again. And this has got to be so frustrating for Pichada. That's got to be really, really annoying. And but I mean, that's completely fair. And look at this: Michael Schmidl last lap a 121.5, Andre Hlebets a 120.7. It's another 0.8 of a second taken out of that gap. And actually, that was Michael Schmidl that we just saw. There it is. That is the gap between the two leaders of this race. And I don't, oh man, I hope I'm not getting myself overexcited for nothing. Oh, that's a big 3-wide moment into the grass for the RPS car of Jan Seeker. He's got the inside line into Parabolica, but shooting around the outside goes the Avaskar. He comes back at him at the exit of the Parabolica. It looks like he's just about got him. He's got the good exit out of Parabolica, but he won't have the slipstream, of course, here. Will he defend the inside line into the first chicane? Yes, he does. Seeker grabs that inside line there again. 3 wide on the run down towards the first corner. So again, the Thrustmaster car of Pichada trying to go around the outside, but this time there's a third car involved, and oh my goodness gracious, this battle continues to go on, and Seeker involving himself in this as well too. This is an absolute cracker of a battle, and this is for 6th position in the VGP1 category. Here comes Lucas Pichada once again on Jan Seeker. He's going to have to go to the outside of this second chicane, and no, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make that work. So another lap for Lucas Pichada, where he's going to have to stay behind. And again, he is on the softest compound tires out of all of these guys. Seeker on the softs, Frabish on the mediums, and we turn our attention once again to Hlebets. For a brief moment there, I thought that was Schmidl he was overtaking, but no. But let's look at the previous lap times. Only about 0.2 of a second, a little less than 0.2 of a second gained in the previous lap for Andre Hlebets. But again, crucially, that gap continues to come down.
Lucas Pichada must be screaming at his ceiling now, because, you know, he's been fighting Jan Frabish all, well, certainly for the second half of the race. He's been fighting so long, and finally gets ahead of him, and suddenly Jan Seeker appears and completely muddles up that whole party. So he must be screaming at the moment. Kujela on the back of Hernecki. They've, you know, crossed swords already and continuing to have their fight. Kujela, he didn't get the apex whatsoever coming into Parabolica. It's going to lose him a bit of momentum, but he's staying right with the Avaskar, and that's how powerful the slipstream is. Jump out, and that should be done if he's got enough brakes and tyres to slow him down when we get there. There's Bushek in the second Smarty car. Ooh, that looks deep! Yeah, thought so. Didn't think you were going to get away with that, and that is going to allow the Avaskar to get the momentum. And that's another very frustrated driver, Kujela, trying to do this. The Avaskars are, well, they're providing some, they're providing a lot of work for other drivers around them. But Kujela this time, oh, I wondered if he'd gone too deep again. I wondered if he'd overcooked both chicanes. But no, not quite. Whoa, look at Hlebets now. Another 120.6 on the board. So that's very close to his previous fastest lap. That's now half a second for between Hlebets and Schmidl. Now, has Schmidl just been taking it easy, keeping some life in his tyres for exactly this? Or has Schmidl genuinely got the run on Michael Schmidl? He's got, yeah, another 4 minutes plus 1 lap's going to round about 4 laps-ish. 3 or 4 laps remaining. So Hlebets now is in the position where he's got to keep his head. It's moments like this where, unfortunately, he's kind of overdone it a few times in the past. Now it's going to be an opportunity. Oh, Schmidl having none of that. That was a statement of intent for the Predator car. No, sir, you are not going to get past there. That's going to cost particularly Hlebets a bit of momentum. But now is going to be the very big turning moment. There's a lot of back markers there as well. Schmidl nailing himself to the inside line. That's Hlebets for the race lead. But can he get the move done? Oh my God, was that impact between the two? I think it might have been lag. But Hlebets has done it. Michael Schmidl has actually had the lead taken from him during a race. I'm not entirely certain that's happened at all. Well, it certainly didn't happen in the Formula class last season. I'm pretty sure of that, or if it did, I can't remember it. But Andre Hlebets has actually taken the lead from Michael Schmidl.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Because, yeah,
he's not happy about it, though, is he?
No, he's clearly not. And that's actually maybe losing him a little bit of time as well, actually. Smarty car just pulling that gap a little bit between the two Lesmos. as they make their way on the run down towards Ascari, and it looks like Andre Hlebets is going to be picking up a bit of a slipstream here as well. He's going to dive to the inside, and actually he's going to be able to take the racing line as they get into Ascari, whereas Smittle just barely getting back onto the racing line as he overtakes the Avaskar. But yeah, it's looking like this is Andre Hlebets' race to lose at this point, because he certainly seems like the faster car. 121.0 last lap, just one more corner left on this particular lap, and then I believe we will have 2 more laps in this time, plus 1. Yep, they'll be able to make it around one more time before that timer runs out, and then they'll have 1 more lap after that as well. So it should be 3 laps, including this one that they're on right now. And I cannot believe that. Look at that, a 122.2 for Michael Smittle on the previous lap. Of course, that was while he was getting overtaken by Andre Hlebets, but I mean, we're so used to we're used to it being Stefanko, aren't we? The one that's usually taking the fight to Michael Smittle, but here we are. A new challenger approaches in the form of Andre Hlebets in that Smarty car. It's looking like he's going to be on for the win here today. And to be honest, it probably should have come earlier in this season with the luck that he's had. It's been absolutely abysmal for him, but very well deserved for Andre Hlebets. Takes the lead of the race with not much still to go, so he doesn't have to hold on to that for too long. That's a very exciting way of taking Ascari for Jan Sikora in the RPS car. But yeah, Hlebets doesn't have that long either, so it's one thing to lead the race from the start and then to spend 45 minutes of your life worrying about Michael Smittle behind you. But no, he's got the move done. He seems to be faster. He's extended a bit of a gap, and I think he's probably going to be on for a race win here, which we could not be more thrilled about this. But here we go, Sikora and Frabish side by side on the run into the first chicane. A bit of a squeeze from Sikora, really closing the door, or trying to squeeze the Avaskar of Jan Frabish into that chicane. Oh, a bit of wheel spin coming out of that chicane for Jan Frabish. Did Sikora get a good enough exit? He'll pick up the slipstream through Curva Grande on the run down towards the second chicane. Which way is he going to go? The Avaskar does not defend the inside line, actually. Sikora up the inside, later onto the brakes, does take that position, moves himself up into 11th position, and and Frabish has gone for a bit of a spin as well too, so that's going to lose him some time, but it doesn't look like it's going to lose him any positions. No, that's Corny behind in the spurt car, so that's not going to lose him any championship points or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure Frabish has had enough of this race. It has not gone well, but I'll give him his due. He's put up some amazing defensive driving throughout this race. Checkered flag about to fall, and Andre Hlebets leads by over a second. Now, looking at how these two did the start-finish straight last time around, Smittle has no answer to Andre Hlebets. He just has to keep it on the black stuff, and that's going to be considerably more difficult when you're close to a win. In the circumstances that this series has seen, just Smittle dominating absolutely everything, Hlebets being there but not quite, or something just going wrong. His heart must be beating 10 to the dozen and up in his throat right now. But Andre Hlebets would have started the final lap, or will very shortly tell. There we go, now has started the final lap as Prachada is fighting. Oh no! As very nearly caught, I think that was Sikora that he very nearly took out there with that one moment that almost saw him into the wall. He has recovered from it. The Thrustmaster car is probably also wanting the end of this race to come sooner rather than later. And there is Jan Frabish and Corny having a fight, and Corny wasn't interested in that whatsoever. Absolutely fine, not in the same category, but there's the race leaders coming up right behind them. Andre Hlebets through Del Roggia, heading towards the Lesmo. Again, he'll know that Smittle is there, but Smittle is not close enough to attack. Smittle may well just off for second, although judging by how he's pushing through Lesmo, I highly doubt he's settling for second. But Smittle having to chase, which is those words is just they're never said. They really are never said.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It's a very strange one. I can't even believe it, but it's really going to happen. Andre Hlebets leading on the run down towards Faribaldi. He's got a couple cars ahead of him, but those are lap down cars, and I don't think they're certainly not going to get in his way. I'd give them 30-place grid penalties if they got in the way of Andre Hlebets on the last lap as he's leading the race ahead of Michael Smittle. And there it is, the confirmation. Andre Hlebets has done it. He didn't take pole position. He didn't lead the race at the start. He had a 5-second gap to overhaul, and on Michael Smittle, no less. It's not like he was catching up to somebody else. No. This is you know, the god among men, Michael Schmidl, who, as you pointed out, has been absolutely dominant for race after race and season after season. You know, Stefanko, even the year that Stefanko won, Schmidl was right up there. I mean, pushing him all the way to the end. Blazek, in the end, does claim yet another podium in the Formula Hybrids, so I imagine he's going to be really happy about that, but that is going to be the end of this race. Martin Stefanko also is going to be really happy with Andre Hlebets. He's going to be thanking Hlebets more than anybody else because, you know, he didn't have the pace or the health today to really mount an attack on Michael Schmidl, but, you know, he can thank Andre Hlebets for at least taking some points off of the current championship leader with 2 races still to go. And that is the podium. Again, just confirmation, Andre Hlebets. I imagine that's how he looks in this moment. Of course, he's at home after winning that race, but that's probably exactly how he looked when he won.
Yep, so Andre Hlebets then has a confirmation with the fastest lap as well on the top spot. Schmidl 2, Blazek 3, Polesny 4, Stefanko 5, excellent effort for him. Pritchard 6, Sikora 7, Frabish 8, Thomas Prohaska 9, and Anton Keselnik rounding out the top 10 for the VGP1s. Let's see how the VGP1 Championship stands. 30 points between the two S's up top. Not insurmountable, but obviously with each race that progresses, it gets even more difficult. Polesny 3, Blazek 4, Hlebets with that win under his belt. He must be absolutely ecstatic then with 79 on the board. Sikora, Frabish, Kazanik, Pritchard and Kostadek rounding out the top 10 for the VGP1s. Here are how the VGP2s stacked up. Somen Kovacic taking the win for the class and 40 seconds back to Pavel Rigel. Wow. We know Rigel's not slow. No. So that's an amazing gap there. Prohaska 3, Pritchard 4. Still a decent result despite the fact that he would spend most of it being blocked by fast cars. So a decent effort for him nonetheless. The VGP2 Championship standings are as such. Again, a 30-point lead. So both VGP1 and VGP2 Championships are led by the same gap. What's the chances of that, quite frankly? So Kovacic over Rigel, Pritchard over Prohaska. That's pretty close there. So third downwards is very, very close indeed.
Acer leading the way in the championship. 55 points at the moment between Acer and Logitech, but just 9 points down to Benzina and 11 points down to Predator. Another 11 points down to Smarty, and then 21 points down to the RPS team. That is going to do it for the final online race of the 2019 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. We'll be back for round 12 from the replay studio. For myself, Chris Buxton, and the entire VGP team, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.